So, you've been reading, you've been learning, you've been listening about how to make cuts during a spirit run, and you've heard a whole lot of people talk about tails, things like wet cardboard, wet dog, general nasty funkiness that you do not want in your spirits. But when you're at the still, it doesn't happen. You can't find any. Let's talk about that today. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, and this is Still It, the channel all about chasing the craft of home distillation and making it a legitimate hobby. Real quick, I've been away for a little while. We went up the mountain because it was my wife's birthday. It's actually where we met. Horribly romantic. Not so much on the romantic part with these three, but it was a hell of a trip. I'm back now. Let's get stuck into talking about tails and why perhaps you're not seeing or smelling or tasting some of the stuff in your runs at the ends that other people are describing. All right, guys, so you've seen me talk about it in the videos that I talk about making cuts and, you know, what you're looking for and where to look for it and what to keep and what not to keep and how to blend them back together and all that sort of stuff. I'll put some links for videos that I've done on those down in the description. There's lots of information out there on the forums and Facebook groups and other YouTube channels and all that sort of stuff. Predominantly, I tend to describe tails as wet cardboard, wet dog, and cement. Woo, I dropped my mic. I've had some people get in touch with me lately and say that as hard as they try to look for those specific descriptors, they just can't find them. So are they doing something wrong? Are they doing something really right? Is there an advantage to what they're doing? All of those sorts of things. I think perhaps I've done a slight disservice to people in describing tails specifically like that. And I think a lot of the information out there does kind of the same thing. And the reason I say that is that, you know, as we know, guys, every time we put something through the still, it's going to be slightly different, right? And if you make something with completely different yeast or completely different ingredients is probably the really big one here, or a totally different process, things are just going to be different. They're going to taste different, they're going to present different, they're going to come off the still different. That's just part of this hobby. There is a huge range of specific little things that we can tweak and push and change in different directions, and the beauty of it is all those little things is what allows us to have this insanely large, wide gamut of different spirit categories, I suppose. That's why whiskey tastes different to eau de vie, for example. If you've been watching the channel for any length of time, you probably know that my first love and my enduring love when it comes to spirits is whiskey. All sorts of whiskeys. I just love them. I love all the other stuff too, and it's fun, don't get me wrong, but that's, you know, that's what I'm really, really into. And I think that has skewed the way I've talked about this in the past. If you're making a whiskey, chances are you're gonna run into wet dog, wet cardboard, and possibly that cementy kind of thing. And the more I do it, the more I realize that it is part of the grain flavor. If you run a whiskey, you're going to go pushing it down to the bottom of the tails to find that really concentrated grain flavor, and in that last little bit of the run is where that sort of spectrum of different grain flavors comes out, more often than not. It's not always, more often than not. And that flavor slowly morphs into wet dog, wet cardboard, wet cement. And when you think about it, there's not a lot of difference between wet dog and yummy grain flavor. They're very similar flavors, so it would make sense that we're going to get that in a whiskey spirit, right? It makes sense, or an all grain spirit. But if you're out there making something with fruit, you know, like the grappa I just made, there's a video up here for that. You can check it out if you want. Or you're making something with a sugar wash, for example, chances are you're not going to get as much of those flavors or any of those flavors. When I made the grappa, for example, didn't really get many of those flavors. When I made the horrible fishy mango recently, I didn't get any wet dog sort of flavor down at the bottom either. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is this is a perfect example of how learning from other people and other resources and everything is magical. It is the absolute beauty of the age we live in. Chances are, whatever you want to learn to do, you can find a buttload of free information out there if you're willing to sift through it, and you can learn in a self-directed way sitting in front of a computer, right? The downfall of that is that if your focus, if your drive, if what you want to create is slightly different than what the person talking to you or teaching you or typing around a keyboard. If your goal and their goal is slightly different, you need to figure out a way to bridge that gap, I guess. So I'm here to say that if you're not running into these flavors, don't stress about it. It's a good thing. Like, who wants wet cardboard? Who wants cement? Who wants wet dog in their spirit? We don't want it. We're going to cut it out. So just because you're not finding it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I thought it was important to make this video, one, to alleviate people's worries that they're doing things wrong if they're not getting those flavors, but two, just to sort of illustrate the fact that whatever you're learning about this hobby, wherever you're learning it from, make sure you're finding other resources, other places to go and get information from. And once you get past the basic safety stuff, once you get the basic, I don't want to call it a formula because I don't think that really applies, but once you understand the basic steps to get through fermentation, through to distillation, play, have some fun, do things differently. If your results aren't coming up the same as what someone else is saying or teaching you or guiding you, that's a good thing. That's an awesome thing. That means that you're getting your own variation, you're getting your own change in things, and it could be down to anything. It could be down to the yeast you're using, it could be down to the local ingredients are different than my local ingredients, like whatever. It's an exciting thing, not a scary thing. Roll with it and make the spirits that you love, make the spirits that you want to make, and make the spirits that you enjoy drinking, not what some other random person on the internet or some guy with a YouTube channel says is good. Make what you like. Before we go any further, I need to say a huge thank you to the Patreons. Thank you so much, team. I really appreciate your generosity and your support of the channel, because without you, I can't do this stuff. If you're finding value in these videos, in the podcast, in the Chase the Craft calculators, whatever it happens to be, if you're finding value there and you'd like to contribute directly to the channel, you can do so by visiting chasethecraft.com/support to find out all the different ways you can help out. For example, you could grab yourself one of the Chase the Craft coins, or of course, if it's right for you, sign up for Patreon. Just so you know, guys, there's no pressure. These videos are free. That's what they're here for. But if you want to go and pick something up or sign up for Patreon, entirely up to you. Speaking of Patreon and pressure, in another note, we have finally, as a collective, peer pressured Bearded and Bored into signing up, committing for more content on a regular basis, which is awesome. It's great for us, it's great for the community. I love the dude's videos, and I love Bearded as well. He's an awesome guy. But it does mean that he has created a Patreon account as well. So if you love what Bearded does and you want to see more videos on a regular basis from him, check the link in the description down below. I've signed up already. I believe in the guy and I think he's doing awesome stuff. So check the link out. All right, team, I know this video is different than what I normally make. But I've been seeing more and more specific questions come through, to me personally, and I feel like if one person's asking this question, there's got to be so many more people out there that are asking the question as well. So if you like this sort of stuff, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like this sort of video, give it a thumbs down. The thumbs down doesn't actually hurt me. In fact, that helps me as well. So don't feel scared to vote with the thumbs up, thumbs down. Anyway, if you like the video and you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button down below, ring the notification bell so you don't miss anything when it comes out. And I'll see you guys next time. Keep on chasing the craft. See ya.